is a country that's protesting in favor of the return of a monarchy. Usually, you know, we think about the past and all of history, all we've tried to do is get rid of the monarchy, the bourgeois, behead them, put them in the... But Iran, on par with the whole ancient times Fertile Crescent thing, we're wanting the monarchy to return. How did this happen? While in 1979 they overthrew the monarchy because they wanted a democratic system, they wanted freedom of choice and self-determination, the Islamic regime that came after that was actually way more oppressive than the king could have ever been. And that's when the people realized that having the monarchy was actually better than having a democratically elected official, and he actually ruled the nation better than even leaders that we see today that are elected in democratic elections. So now that the people have suffered for over 40 years in Iran, most of them weren't even present during the revolution which overthrew the king. Now the people are going out in the streets protesting in favor of the return of the crown prince, who is the king's son, who was overthrown in 1979 in exchange for the ayatollahs that came in. How these ayatollahs came in the first place? Well, first of all, the ayatollah that came in 1979 was Ayatollah Khomeini, and he was actually exiled by the king. He was exiled by the king because he was speaking out against women's rights to vote. The people in Iran, while they were revolting, protesting against the king, they didn't know much of this Khomeini exiled in Paris. They especially didn't know the fact that he was exiled for speaking out against women's rights. In Iranian people's heads, they were being pumped this propaganda by the Western nations because Western nations thought that it would be better to have someone like this religious clerk to come into Iran and rule, because they thought it'd be easier to puppet versus how it was with the king. And Western nations didn't find it in their benefit to have the king of Iran be the ruler, because he was more and more trying to nationalize the oil and natural resources of Iran. So we're like, let's get this religious cleric in there instead of the king. Let's pump that propaganda to the Iranian people, and let's puppet him once he comes there. Obviously that backfired, and they actually ended up having a huge enemy in the region instead. What else do I need to get into?